Hi there guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Reese, a guitar and singing teacher, and today I'm going to be reacting to Puddle of Mudd covering About a Girl by Nirvana live for Sirius XM. This is, as you guys have requested in the comments, so please keep your requests coming in for more reaction videos. Okay, let's take a look. What? Oh my god, they have to be trolling us, surely. He can actually sing. Okay, that's one more I was expecting, but let's carry on taking a look, I guess.
I do, thank you, fit this too, I do, but you have a clue, take it, then it's wow, you hang me out to dry.
Okay, so there's just so much strain in his voice. I've no idea why he's doing this. I can't remember the lead singer from Puddle of Mudd's name, I'm afraid, but I remember when Puddle of Mudd were a far more relevant, popular rock band, that one of the main criticisms or just facts that would be thrown around about his voice is it reminded a lot of people of Kurt Cobain. So the fact that he's doing this weird quasi-impression seems even more strange, but unless it cleans up a lot in the next 3 minutes, you can see here this is the danger of trying to imitate a singer when covering their song, or just trying to imitate a singer in your general vocal demeanor, that he's putting so much extra strain there into his voice trying to deliver a Kurt Cobain-esque vocal, when really he should just be focusing on how to sing the melody, how to use the right vocal technique to hit the specific notes, and just allow his natural grit to come through, so that he's not trying to add another element, so another thing for his voice to think about, if you like, which is trying to sound like Kurt Cobain, as well as trying to hit the notes and trying to get a certain emotional quality, as well as trying to get maybe some grit in there. It's just giving his voice an extra thing to do, and man, does he look uncomfortable.
I can see you every night, rain.
Jeez.
I do. Now I'm standing in your line. I do. Hope you have the time. I do.
I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to watch all of this. You can just hear how much contortion he's in. I mean, if you listen or watch, even better watch, Kurt singing this live. Now obviously Kurt Cobain is Kurt Cobain, and you know there is nobody quite like him, but he's not a trained singer by any stretch of the imagination. He just does what feels right and what his voice naturally does. And as I said before, this is giving us a really clear indication of how important it is to focus first on what your voice does naturally and what the correct vocal technique is in order to sing whatever it is you're trying to sing, whatever effect it is you're trying to apply, rather than trying to imitate a singer. He's trying to constrict his vocal cords there. If you watch Kurt, you'll see that it looks effortless, and as I said, that's not because he's got an immense amount of training, it's just he's doing what his voice does naturally. When Kurt sings the opening line, I need an easy friend, you watch him live MTV, there's no facial expressions, there's no contortion or anything. Sometimes singers will do that even if it's not particularly hard to hit the note, just to sell the emotion. But if you watch Kurt, it's all, I need an easy friend. It's just forward placement, and then he's using a little bit of compression, which, without going into too much detail, is basically like we hold our breath. So we're creating, it's a bit like if you took a can of pop and you shook it up with your finger over the top and then let go, you're kind of preloading all of the bubbles to explode out with force. And we're doing that the same with our breath flow coming through the vocal folds. So rather than, as the lead singer here of Puddle of Mudd is doing, trying to use his breath to create distortion, that's just going to create discomfort. What we actually want is to remove the breath and then use it effectively in a kind of more direct way to attack the lines. So instead of needed pen, which is what he's doing here, and it's obviously not working for him, we want more I need an easy friend. Like that natural distortion just happens when I release my vocal folds and allow them to, connect. Let's see what else he does here.
Number 2, I do keep on staying with you.
It's actually really stressful to watch.
Take advantage while you hang me.
You can hear already, like, he's losing the melody now. There's so little control, and it's obviously grating, having a real negative impact on his vocal folds. You can hear how dry his voice sounds. There's not enough space between each line for him to recover his breath or to kind of get some energy back. It just sounds like a trial the whole way through. And look at the rest of the band as well. The guitarist can't even look at him. That little smile.
You every night,
Guitarist and bongo player actually can't look at him, and the bass player can't take his eyes off him. I wonder if they knew that he was about to do this, the rest of the band. I don't know if that's all the original members of Puddle of Mudd, but they'll know what he's capable of. Like I said, he's not a bad singer. And in fact, he's probably one of the people who, from that sort of new metal, new grunge wave we had in sort of the 2000s, he's probably one of the ones who sounds, as I said, most like Kurt Cobain. So it's just really bizarre that he's doing this kind of weird impression. Thank God for a guitar solo, a break from that. Guitar solo is actually pretty accurate to what Kurt plays live on MTV Unplugged. Dear, he's going to come back in a minute, isn't he? He's just yelling at this point. I mean, the I do's are sort of vaguely close. I do, but that's the placement he should be using throughout. I do with an ear to land. He doesn't need to be pulling all of these facial expressions that, quite frankly, make him look like, well, we all know what it looks like and what it sounds like. This is really hard to watch.
Then it's wild. You hear me out to dry. I can see you every night. I can see you every night.
See, you can't even get through the line there. There's not enough room, like I said. There's not enough space, not enough time for him to recover between each line that's sort of devastating his vocal cords. I just wonder, presumably this was the best take that they got. You just wonder why they released this, whether they had any power of veto. See the rest of the band are keeping their heads down. They don't want to kind of be involved in this in any way. That was close. Those I do. If you just stayed there for the whole performance, that's all it is. I think, you can overthink distortion. Certainly you can overthink a lot. It's something I see a lot with my students and the people I work with as a vocal coach, that a lot of people just equate distortion with yelling, basically, and think, well, I've got to create that same sort of, it sounds like an aggressive sound, yeah, so they kind of treat their vocal folds very aggressively, but it's just understanding, like I said, about breath compression, and where your voice will naturally start to reverberate in that way that you get distortion. It's the same as playing through a guitar amp. If you just turn a guitar amp up to 11 and thrash away, yeah, you might blow the speaker out, but if you kind of tailor it, you're going to get the natural distortion coming out of the instrument, and it's going to sound better than just loud noise to the point of where a speaker can't tolerate it anymore, or where our vocal folds can't tolerate it anymore. That's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Thank you, I guess, for requesting that I check that out. I can't say I'm glad to have seen it, but it's really strange that, like I say, a singer that we've heard of that has some critical acclaim, obviously the band has also, be derided by kind of grunge purists and whatever, but no, they had a following at one point, they were relevant at one point, the dude could sing at one point, so I don't know what has happened in like the last 10 years, Puddle of Mudd, who hurt you, but that is particularly bizarre that he's chosen that to sort of herald their return. And maybe they've been around all this time and I've just not been aware of it, but certainly that's the first I've heard of them in years. So it's weird that this is their big comeback viral moment. One of the big takeaways here is to really not worry about trying to imitate great singers. If you have a singer who you aspire to be like, try to imitate their authenticity and find what it is that your voice does well. What's your voice kind of good at naturally? Where do you have these kind of pockets of distortion? Even if it's playing around with keys of songs, perhaps they could have changed the key there and maybe he would have felt a bit more comfortable. Maybe his voice does what Kurt's voice does on the Nirvana version in a different place than where Kurt's voice does it. So there's nothing wrong with changing the keys of songs. Obviously, if you hear a song on the radio, it has been through producers and record executives and the artists themselves, and everybody has done everything they can to make that sound the best it possibly can when you hear it on the radio. There's no singer out there making a living as a singer going, okay, I'll sing it in that key. It's not where it sounds best for me, but fine, I'll sing it there. No, it's all tailored to be in the perfect position for their voice to sound the best that it possibly can. So you should be doing exactly the same thing in your practice and in your performances. As I said, don't try and imitate, just try and take on the essence of what it is that you like about some of your favorite singers. So I hope you found that enjoyable, if not too informative. I'm not sure exactly what else we can really glean from that performance. But play around with that compression, as I said before, kind of almost like holding your breath and then releasing it. So rather than it being, I need an easy friend, where we're just blasting air out of vocal cords, we actually want, it's like I stop breathing and then release it. Now again, that maybe looks, as I'm showing you in this sort of drawn out example, that maybe looks uncomfortable, but it just feels like I've got butterflies in my stomach. It doesn't feel uncomfortable at all. And as I say, you can do that with any of the sort of facial contortions or tics that we were seeing in that video. I need an easy friend. Kind of play around with where your voice will break in a way that you find satisfying or appealing, that you like the sound of. So thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like below. Please subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I also upload guitar and vocal tutorials. And leave a comment below to let me know what you thought of this Puddle of Mudd performance. Until then, I'll see you next time.